Xenobusters with Gylo's design. Down in the sea depths the wardic will shine. Missile launcher on Zelo Zoid. The Helic naval force will be destroyed. Deployed on D-Day, the wardic strikes hard to clear the seas and shores in that regard. Pave the way for our land Zoids to attack. Go wardic, set our invasion on track. Now crush the naval Helic Zoids wardic. Sink the barrigators and make it quick. Furorless eels can't stop you either, nor can Aquadon ops you neither. Mechanized fish with solid blaster. In planet C, seed wardic is master. Striking from the depths with Xenobust rage. The anti-Aquadon ops you neither. But not even the wardic could secure us. The Xenobust defeat we will discuss. Dominion of the seas was not enough. The Helic army won Xenobust lost. Now crush the naval Helic Zoids wardic. Sink the barrigators and make it quick. Furorless eels can't stop you either, nor can Aquadon ops you neither. Returns the Gylo's empire, give cause for concerns. As they now roll out the wardic once more, Helic Republic war comes through the shore. Now crush the naval Helic Zoids wardic. Sink the barrigators and make it quick. Furorless eels can't stop you either, nor can Aquadon ops you neither. But in this new Zoid age, wardic returns. The Gylo's empire give cause for concerns. As they now roll out the wardic once more, Helic Republic war comes to the shore. Now crush the naval Helic Zoids wardic. Sink the barrigators and make it quick. Furorless eels can't stop you